All right, we're looking at a response to request for production, and this was numbered using the Kwik Docs Discovery Numbering tool, which uses what are called sequence fields to create the sequences of numbers for the request and then the sequence for the responses. So everything was good. Life was fine as they're going along with requests and responses until we got to a point where there were no questions posed for a few. So the person typing this up wanted to skip numbers 4 through 7. Well, that's fine until you put more automatic numbering in with these sequence fields, and all of a sudden the numbers are not, they're out of whack because we want this to be 8 and then response for 8, but it's picking up where the ones above it left off instead. So I'm going to show you how you would do this properly and have a good life experience. And then I'll show what the person tried to do, what went wrong, why it went wrong, and how to avoid it. For general information about Microsoft Word. So if you've got the Kwik Docs, all you would need to do is come after the number, after the request where you want to skip, put your cursor where you want it, go back to the pleadings ribbon and the discovery numbering, and tell it which one. It needs to be the same one, request for production, and to include the response, except we want this to be number 8, right? Because they skipped 4 through 7, so number 8 is where we're starting up again. So we're telling it that. Then when we say create and it inserts that, it will be a set for number 8. Oh, and I had my cursor right at the beginning of this, was down here. What the macro did was it hard-coded these to be number 8. So I'm going to take these paragraphs and move them up under those number 8s that will always stay number 8. And here's the objection. I'm going to use this time on the keyboard Shift-Alt with the up arrow just to move these paragraphs up to get it under there. Now, because the other numbers were already in here, I can just delete this extra set that I have, and you can see things will carry on. So because I deleted number 9, it skipped ahead to number 10. But as soon as we update fields, which I can do for discovery numbering by going back to the pleadings discovery numbers and telling it to update numbers. So you can see it fixed all those. But that was because I already had the numbering in here. If I hadn't had it in here, if I was typing along when I got to this point, it looked like this. What I could do would be just put my cursor where I want the next numbers and go back to discovery numbering, pick the correct one. It's only going to continue on if it's the matching question and response. But don't tell it to start at anything. And then I could put it in, or I could say, hey, I want 5 sets of these, and then I'll type in between them. So either way, I'll just do 1 for right now. And you can see it would pop them in. And you're off and running. Let me get rid of this. So that is how you would do it properly without having a lot of stress and confusion. I deleted those, so let me update my numbers again. These are also fields, so I could, instead of going to the back into the pleadings discovery numbering, I could on the Kwik Docs ribbon under the power tools, we do have a macro that will update all the fields in the document except for table of contents and table of authorities. It deliberately doesn't update those. And there you go. Now, what happened to this poor person? Well, first thing I want to show you, or I want to point out, is that notice that these numbers are, they've got this gray background. That is not going to print. That is field shading. And I set mine computer, Microsoft Word on my computer, under File Options, Advanced. I'm going to scroll down to where it says Show Document Content. And notice that I have set field shading to always. And I did that so that when I look at a computer, if there's a field in there, when I look at a document, I should say, if there's a field in there and it will be shaded gray. So I'll know, oh, that's a date field, or that's a number field. That's not text that somebody typed in. By default, it's set to when selected, which means it will just look regular unless you click on it. So, and in fact, let me put that to when selected for right now so that you can see it just looked like this to the person. So they said, okay, well, 4 through 7, so this should be 8, and they tried typing that in there. Well, I've got it in there the right way now, so I can't really mess it up. But basically, it was probably a number 5 here and number 4 here because there was no response to reply to. So they went in and just tried changing what looked as text until they clicked on it from a 5 to an 8, etc. Well, there's a second thing that Microsoft Word does. Every time you print, it updates fields. So they were just typing on top of this field, but then every time you go to print, it was updating these fields. Now, there is a setting to turn that off, but don't be fooled. There are several fields that even if you turn the setting off, Word still updates them when you print, and this particular type of field, the sequence fields, is one of them. So if you go to File Options Display, you'll see that Update Fields Before Printing is checked in my case. But even if it wasn't, as soon as I printed or even did a print preview, these particular fields would have updated. And then all the numbers they typed in would switch back to the numbers the computer thought it should be. So it's nice to know that setting exists, but like I said, some fields it simply doesn't work for. So let's take a look at what we did. With this document, I'm going to press Alt F9 on the keyboard, and you can see the code behind the fields. When you press Alt F9, it toggles to show the results versus showing the field code. So right now we're looking at the field codes. So you can see here, let me go up a little bit. Here's one of my requests. This is all text, but then this is the number field you're seeing. And so SEQ stands for sequence field. 5 RFP is just the name that I gave it in the computer programming when I set this up. The backslash asterisk Arabic means that it will be the regular Arabic numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as opposed to, say, Roman numerals or ABC. And then merge format just means it will update formatting. That goes in by default when you insert a field. The responses are almost exactly the same sequence field, but they have a different name. So it's a separate sequence. So it's 5 RFP RSP for response. And then it's Arabic and it has the merge format code. So simple enough. Let me press Alt F9 again and go down a little ways to our number 8s. This is where we went to the pleadings, discovery numbering, and told it start at 8. So when it inserted these two, this request and this response, it did something special to those field codes. Alt F9 shows me the codes behind them. And you can see with these, there's something a little bit different. It's sequence, SEQ, 5 RFP, Arabic, just like before, but then after Arabic, there's a backslash R8. Now, there was no space. I just typed a space in here because there probably should have been in case somebody looks at it to make it look better, but you can see it works without the space. The backslash R is what's called a switch, and it's telling this code to be number 8 no matter what. So it's saying this sequence number here at this point in the document is going to be number 8, and then the next similar sequence with the same name will just pick up where that left off. So it will be number 9 automatically. And then this was the response, so it has the same response, RFP, RSP name, and it has the backslash R8 in it as well, forcing it to be number 8. So when we see the results, Alt F9 again, the numbers are what we want them to be.